Hello, this is Chris from Synched Stories, and we are here back with another video on gutter intersections. Because I wanted to add a few things and clarify some things, and I wanted also to sum it up with, if I can, more succinctly or more concise and more to the point, perhaps. This is a presentation, as usual, to promote my 987 degrees centigrade comic book album, full color, 40 pages, science fiction action thriller that is under production now. And this is, of course, a part of this Unlimited Danger umbrella name, and it's season 1. So Unlimited Danger season 1, and the first comic book is 987 degrees centigrade, and this is just one out of the 8 in total books that will comprise season 1. So we have these here. So it's a science fiction action thriller with Barry Riley here on the front cover here as the hero, the arrogant space captain that always sort of runs into trouble and problems and action and romance and all of these other things that makes stories so enticing. Alright, so let's go back to the topic of this video now, and we are back here with trying to clarify the concept of gutter intersections and how to make our own gutter intersection more pleasing to the eye. That is the objective, to try to figure out what rules we have, or how can we design this so that we're always getting a nice result that doesn't look amateurish or unprofessional. So last time in the video I recorded yesterday, we were using row A and row B as an example, where we had row A stationary and we were moving row B. So I was thinking we could get some fresh perspective here if we are using row C and row D, and with row C up here as the stationary one once more, and row D as the moving one. And I've now just started, I made a test before the video started here. I forgot to reset it, but this is the D is then movable, so I can move this, and this replicates the idea in practical comic book production, that you have to have you often come into the situation that the top row, or the row above, is already designed. Perhaps it's already drawn or inked and colored and everything, so you can't change anything, perhaps. Or it could be in the design stage, but nevertheless, even on the design stage, you have to design some rows before other rows. So we're assuming that we are proceeding in a normal direction, where we sort of start at the top of the page with you draw something on the first row, and then when you've sort of decided that, okay, this is how I'm having my panels on that first row, then we go to the next row. And it's now that it's on the sort of the second row or the row below that we will encounter the problem with the gutter intersection, because it's not the same to have the gutters as we have them now and if we have them here, for instance. Now, of course, I'm moving all the three gutters intersections at the same time. So if I move the whole row, so you see that we get the different impression up here in the so that is the exact that is our concern. How should we design this so that it becomes nice? All right, so then what we did last time is that we said that there are 4 categories of situations. There are 4 different situations that we can encounter. One is very bad, one is bad, another one is good, and still another one is very good. So what the objective is to quickly identify which is which and how to design quickly, so that we at least get the panel dimensions right before we actually start drawing them inside of the panel. Because if we set the panel's width wrong in the first place, then you may have to redraw parts of the interior. So it's very important to get, and not only do you may have to redraw parts of the interior, you may have to rescale everything. You may have to rescale the figures or the background, or perhaps the balloon is suddenly too small or too big, or so one very important thing in comic book production is that you have to decide exactly how wide your panels should be before you actually start drawing and inking and coloring and everything. Right, so that's that. So now let's zoom in here on let's just use this zoom tool here. We just draw a rect with on my Wacom board here. All right, so let's say we have row C, Caesar up here, and row David down here. And our objective now is to find the most pleasing designs. Okay, so now the first thing I will do is I'm going to press V on my keyboard here for the move tool, and then I'm going to put these in like a straight crossing. And I'm going to say that this straight crossing here, where the left or where this border of C1 is exactly lined to this border of C2 or D1, sorry, C1 and D1. And this border of C2, of panel C2, is perfectly lined to D2. And just move it a little bit so we have better alignment. Like that, something like that. So they should be perfectly aligned. That is the objective. So this is a straight gutter intersection, according to my sort of terminology I have developed. And this is a special situation, and so we're going to come back to that. But what I'm going to do now is to talk about, again, I'm going to clarify something which I talked about in yesterday's video. I forgot to say that. I'm putting a link down below to that video, because that's a quite long one. So if you want more details, or but since I'm doing some corrections here also, you can first maybe listen to this video first, and then you can go back to the other one and hear some more details. Alright, so what we're going to do now is that this straight design I have previously referred to as an offset of 0, because since everything is aligned here, we have an offset of 0, and that's correct in a sense, because it's the offset compared to the panel straight like perfectly above here is there is no, these are exactly lined in the x-axis, so they are not horizontally sort of moved or anything. So they are aligned, and they are straight, and they are 90 degree, and so this is a straight crossing. So now I'm going to talk about when we're trying to move this around. So let's say that we're moving this to the right in different positions here. These are possible positions to sort of end up with. And many comic creators, including Hergé, Tintin, Goscinny och Uderzo's Asterix, and even Fantastic Four by Jack Kirby. Even in those comic books you'll find designs like these. But I'm saying that this is ugly. And I'm saying that this is ugly, and I'm saying that this is ugly, and it's not only until over here someplace it becomes suddenly very good. This of course could be a scale here from where you maybe starting from here somewhere, but let's talk about that. So what I'm doing now is we want to have a real measurement now. So what I'm doing here is have been drawing this before here to explain. And I'm saying that there is some kind of magic distance here where everything, and this magic difference is, or distance is 2.5 gutter widths. So up here we have one gutter width, and then counting from this red line, which is stationary, oops. So the red line is stationary, sort of attached to the panel C1 here, the right border of C1. So this is 0 offset, and this is 1 gutter width offset, and this is 2 gutter widths, and then we have 2.5. So I'm saying that if we want to aesthetically mix the panels, if we want to aesthetically place the panels on different rows, we have to look at this. We have to say that we have to have some kind of guide there, that you have to be at least 2.5 gutter widths from the left or the right of the left panel. So it's the right border of the left panel on the row above. So the idea is that if we move the panels on row B, the row C is stationary. We always have to remember this. So you cannot move anything here. It is always stationary. So we are moving row D here now, and we must move it up to this point or further to make it very good, to make the design feel stable and solid and nice. So we must come away from these designs here, which everything it looks like it's a mistake. We slipped with our fountain pen when we drew the panel frame or something, or we misaligned it, or we didn't calculate it good enough, or we just put it there like it slipped when we placed it on our mounting board, or it's just it looks unorganized and unprofessional in my point of view. So I'm saying that you have to put that, so when you're moving it to the right, it has to be 2.5 gutter widths to the right of the red line here. Now, what I didn't talk about in the last video was that what happens if you move if you want to move it the other way, to the left. Well, then you have to use the use the blue line instead. So, but we're always starting here in terms of how we think. So if we want to move it to the left, we use the blue line, and then we get the same sort of we get the same effect, or the same system, but we just have to move it to the left, and we have to use the blue line instead. So it's the same 2.5 gutter widths. It's just in the minus direction. So moving to the left is negative, minus, and using another reference point. So we start with. So then what we can say is that 2.5 or 3 or 4, 3.5, 4.5 or 5 or whatever you want to over here is good. And you might even you might also say, of course, that it's not, you shouldn't just use 2.5 gutter widths all the time for every panel intersection or for every panel gutter intersection. You should use different values so that the total layout on the page becomes very slightly unpredictable and not just the same boxes all over. So we want to have variety within the madness, if I can say so, something like variety, but not too much, but still within rules. So you have rules but still variety. Like order into chaos in order, order into chaos. I don't know what they say, but all right. So this is the system then. So we can look at then at both. So when we, to summarize this, then we have the two possibilities. Going to the right, we start at the red line, moving to the right, 2.5 gutter widths or more. And then if we want to move to the left, then we start from the blue line and count 2.5 gutter widths that way, in the negative direction, so to speak. So the offset is minus 2.5 going left, and it's plus 2.5 gutter widths in the right direction, in the positive direction. So that's that. Another clarification I want to do is that I was talking about the offset in terms of the straight intersection. So let's draw this out. Let me show you that again. Let's highlight row D again here, and let's move it around. So in this case then, I said before, and also in the previous video, that the offset is 0. But then I'm using a different reference point. So I'm using a different. So when the offset is 0, with that expression, when I was trying to clarify what a straight intersection is, this is a straight intersection, this is a straight crossing, which is one of the good guys, or could be one of the good guys. But the 2.5 gutter width positions, or 3 gutter widths and 4 gutter width, that is the very, very best design. But if you're using a 0 offset, that is an intersection, like a straight intersection like this. This is comes in position 2. It's good, but not very good, right? So it's and then everything else is very bad. So this is, if we blow this up, then. So if I'm not in this position, if I don't have a straight crossing, and I start moving my row D here, then that is very bad. That is very bad. That is very bad. That is very bad. And so on until we come over to we have 1 gutter width there, we have another one there, and 2.5 there in the negative direction. So we're using the blue line when going to the left, and now we're going to the right. So this is if this is a straight intersection, which it is now, then that's good. Not very good, but good. It's a sort of like a, if you can't do anything else than this, then you all right. But this is very bad. 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 And here it becomes very good suddenly. Maybe there is some kind of sliding scale here. Maybe this is good also, or something. Two gutter widths or something. I can't. I mean, I'm just using my eyes and my own aesthetic sensibilities here, so I can. But there's something like this. So 2.5, 3, 3.5. Very good. Very good. Very good. All right. So now, just a quick point here about this intersection, this straight intersection. I said before that in one sense there is zero offset here because these are just perfectly lined and straight and in both directions, 90-degree angles and everything. This is super straight, super well formed. But counting. So okay, let's just leave it at that. I mean, it's getting too complicated. All right, so then, and if I did, I don't remember if I did mention it, but we have this situation, these offsets here, like these ones and this one and this one and this one. Such offsets are commonly found in even in very popular comics like Tintin and Asterix and Spirou and Marvel, and so it's not that it's the end of the world, of course, but I think this goes for all artists, that we actually have to be thinking about our trade, or we have to become sort of more conscious of what we're doing, and we have so that we can enjoy it more. So we sort of like make ourselves better, and we want to be better, and we try to improve our skills, and we try to make everything nicer, and because it's about design. Comics is all about design. It's about in so many ways. It's not just the design of like the drawing themselves. I mean, of course that's a big part of it. You have to be able to draw out the characters. You have to be able to draw the expressions on the faces, the body language, and the emotions, but then you also have to be able to house everything into a composition on the whole page. You have to be able to master the layout also, and that is not so easy in terms of today's climate, if I may say so, because in the golden days, in the Carl Barks Walt Disney age, and Marvel in the 60s, and the Tintins and the Asterixes and all these fantastic creations, all of them had a very similar design, like a classic, timeless kind of design, with white borders and nothing else, and straight lines, and no diagonals mostly, and like that. So it felt very um, like a. I mean, that was the formula, and if you knew anything about comics, whether it was like BC or Snoopy or whatever it was, all of them looked the same mostly. But nowadays, the panel design, especially like in Marvel and like that, DC perhaps, there's so much experimentation with panel designs. So it's not as easy perhaps to accept the old format. Perhaps I think many young boys and girls are sort of mesmerized by fancy diagonal big panels and a black background, and then they have some kind of background super big picture and lying as a backdrop on the whole page, and everything is so elaborate. And so well, I'm not a fan of that, and I think that this is an important issue because you sort of, if you're starting a project, let's say that you're starting like I'm doing this like a 8 comic book series, right, of 8 separate comic books, each 40 page, which takes many years to complete, and I need to think very strategically about how can I get the best design possible even on page 1 of the first comic album, and then not change anything in terms of style. So this is of course my drawings probably will be better and better, but the whole design of the comic book is sort of has to follow the same rules. So you can't. I mean, if I once select a certain typeface on page 1 for the text in my balloons, then I have to hand letter everything like that in the whole album, right? So it's not that I can sort of decide on page 2, oh now I'm going to hand letter it with all caps instead of with small ones. So this is important in terms of like panel design, that we have to get like a rigid system that is as good as possible and as stable as possible, that we don't want to change it even in 5 years or say something like that. So there's a lot of thinking about before starting a project, but of course if you're just drawing one strip at a time and then perhaps not publishing it even or something, then you can do whatever you want, of course. But what I'm talking about is trying to get super professional here and try to make like put your level up there with the big guys. Not well, I shouldn't say it like that, but I just want to make it as nice as I can. It's a sort of like I just love what I'm doing, so I normally I just as you may have noticed, I'm quite analytic in my mind, so I like it, and So I'm hoping that these guidelines or these points are well taken. So let's just, as a quick, see if I can find this document I had before here. Where is my old document? Is it nowhere? Window. Here it is. So let's just do a quick recap. So the very bad ones are all the positions in between the straight crossing and the 2.5 gutter widths. And this is regarded as very bad. So all of those you should probably avoid. I certainly avoid them, so you can do whatever you like, but this is just my list here. And then we have bad, and this is interesting because I didn't mention this before, but there are two situations here if we have a straight intersection. So we can have, so I hope okay, we can recap this. So let's zoom out. So let's say that down here we have, let's say that this panel D1 here actually stretches out. It's the left border is out here, okay, and then we have one straight intersection here. The first gutter here is perfectly straight, but if that one is straight and these guys are not straight, then it looks really bad anyway. So the only acceptable version here is that if you have one perfectly straight gutter on this pair of rows, you must have all the others straight as well. This is my design rule. So you have to. So if you make this a straight one, then these must be straight ones as well. And these can be as they are. So these are already perfectly fine. This one is perhaps not maybe it's just 2.2 gutter widths or something. There's one gutter width there and one gutter width. Let's see. But it's close enough to be acceptable for me. Was it? No, here it is. This one. So this one is starting from this point here. So all right. So it's all right. But that was another point. So let's back. So the rule is, if you have one, you cannot have one straight intersection and the other intersections not. So regardless of these, I mean, if these other two here, this one is super bad, right? And this one may be acceptable, but hardly. But even so, this one destroys everything if it's combined like this. But the only acceptable to make this a good one, as it stands now with these combination here, it's a bad one, which is reflected in this one. This is number. So where if you have one intersections, well, it's 1.0 counting in a different way here, but so if you have one straight intersection, and then two others or one other which is not straight, then it becomes bad. So what you need to make it good is that all the offsets are straight on that row, on that particular row. That is the rule. Okay. And then the best situation is offset is 2.5 gutter width. That is the normal term. So for instance, this one crossing here is more than 2.5 gutter widths. So this intersection here, or this location here, is, we're using the blue line on this here, and we have 1, 2, 3.5 gutter widths, minus 3.5 offset, and that's perfect. It's the best possible situation. And the same over here, this one here is also. So it's just like if you, perhaps you can see it like this, it's like bricklaying. It's what the masons are doing. You create a pattern that is sort of holding up. It's like building a wall. So you want a pattern that's sort of is nicely framed and nicely keeping together. But here the difference is that the bricks are not equally big, and that is good because that gives us a little variety. So because otherwise this thing here would always be in the middle of the brick above, if all of them were equally big. So luckily this isn't the case, that we have different width of our panels, which makes this a very like a puzzle with different sizes, different pieces, different sizes of each piece. All right, so that I think sums it up, and I'm hoping that, of course, as always, that this has been helpful to you and to sort of make you think more about all the preparations before you actually draw something in the panel, because it's if you're having a big project, then you have to sort of team that up with big planning. So you have to plan better to get more efficient, because of course all changes can be made in the last stage, but it's just so much more time consuming to do everything first. You have to sketch, you have to draw, you have to color, you have to ink, you have to resize and rotate and on and on and on, and fit the balloons and hand letter the text, so if you need to change at a later stage or a very late stage, then you have to redo it, and you have to that can be quite time consuming. And that is of course also a topic on its own. How do I prepare myself for the future? How do I make my project editable? So how do I design my workflow so that if something happens, it becomes easy to change it? So perhaps I should save, you know, those 12 layers that I drew extra, because I may need them if what I'm doing now doesn't pan out when everything comes together. So you're not just quickly drawing something and then just erasing to save space on your hard disk or something like that. But certain things may need to be stored as layers or as separate documents or as on and on and on like that. So it's good to have like an idea of what your workflow would be, and to think in terms of different editions. Perhaps I'm doing this all the time. I'm thinking about how should I prepare this for like a grayscale edition, perhaps, or how should I prepare this so I can make a more portable. Perhaps I want a 6x9 book instead of US letter or something like this. So it's many. So how should I? So it's all about editing. How should I make it simple to produce a new edition? Because after all, it's years of work to just make one album, right? So you might as well prepare for different editions and different places where you should show your artwork, perhaps online also. It depends on what your plans are. Anyway, I think that sums it up for today. I'm hoping you are having a really good time here with my videos, and I hope to see you again. Bye bye for now.